night on Race Stars TV, your Tuesday night racing action for the Racekraft S5000 E-Series, live from Circuit Magny-Cours. We go to the French countryside, Dave Roberts.
Yeah, nice curvy little drive around the French countryside. Lovely. Some wine to be picked up. Maybe French girls. Beautiful food, cheese, wine.
And a great circuit too. 4.4 kilometres, 17 turns of what is going to be, I'm predicting, a very challenging night of racing on this track. There's not much room for these cars to really open up and stretch their legs. So I expect them all to be running quite a high downforce combination, which is going to make these curves a little bit easier to navigate. But there's a couple of places on this track, Dave, I'm expecting to see quite a few drivers drop it when trying to get on the power.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where you can't get the car straight. You actually have to accelerate while turning, and that makes it a bit of a challenge. So it's good, just what they need. And as for giving them room to stretch their legs, I remember watching the real world F1 round here, and they managed to stretch their legs. So it's a pretty cool track.
It's been a while since F1's been at this circuit. How many years ago was the Formula One Grand Prix at Circuit Magny-Cours?
Couldn't tell it.
The track record was set by Michael Schumacher, a 1:15.3 in 2004, the Ferrari F2004 version. But a fantastic circuit nonetheless to go racing.
20 years ago.
It was, yeah, my goodness, 20 years ago. It feels like it shouldn't be that far away, but really, in essence, it's actually a long time ago. We're locked and loaded for a big night of racing. What have we got? 17 drivers on the list for tonight from our locked grid that started at the beginning of the series. Of course, this is round 9 of the Motorsport Australia S5000 E-Series, the official E-Series for S5000s, thanks to Racecraft Simulations. And we're getting close to drawing the championship to a close, Dave.
Yep, and oh, there I go.
There we go.
Exactly what we were just talking about before. Trying to get on the power out of the corner, lost the back end, and around she goes. So
yeah,
we're going to see a fair bit of that.
I'm sure we will throughout the course of the night. Checking in on current championship standings as we just run down the final few seconds of qualifying. Damon Woods leads the championship 574 points to Tim Delisle on 507 points. And then a massive gap back to Greg Olsen, 381 points. So there's a massive margin there, but a little bit of a fight on still for third in the championship between Greg Olsen and Joshua Stewart, 381 to 339. Of course, we get started with the first race of the night, the sprint race. It's a quick 15-minute blast around Circuit Magny-Cours with Damon Woods starting on the pole after taking the best time from qualifying alongside Josh Stewart, who is currently 4th in the championship, starting next to him on the front row. Greg Olsen starting out of position 3 and Tim Delisle starting out of position 4. So your top 4 in the championship occupying the first 2 rows of the grid. Jason Sieg out of 5 with Drew Collins out of 6, Shane Russell and Steve Jensen out of 7 and 8, with Bailey Evans and Scott Bartain rounding out your top 10. Now I notice there is a absence of one Julian Dunn not on the starting grid tonight. So there's one of your big names, currently 5th in the championship, not making it to tonight's race.
Oh well, gives opportunity to other people.
I'm sure it does as we look a little bit further back there. Rob Bowden, Will Ryan on row 6, Marcus Knitska and Anthony Marzoka row 7, from Damien Cairns, Luke Hayden and Jacob Mabry, your 17 starters. Of course, Lachlan Capel, starting out of the pit lane. Capel, is it? Out of the pit lane.
I think it's tonight, since we're in France, so it's Capel.
Yes, it should be. As we just wait for a couple more to bump into the grid. Greg Olsen.
Lachlan Capel.
Just bumping in to the starting grid here as we get set for a 15-minute blast around France for round 9.
Do the whole night with a French accent, you know.
Oh, you drive me absolutely insane if you did. As we get ready to set, ready to go. Racecraft Simulations S5000 E-Series powered by FRG E-SPORTS. Waiting for
5 seconds.
Here we go. The revs rise from Circuit Magny-Cours. And Damon Woods is going to lead the field away. A good start though from Greg Olsen, who tries to chase him down through turn 1. And Woods is going to get dropped by 2, maybe even 3. No, he'll settle into 3rd here. So it's Josh Stewart who jumps to the pole. Greg Olsen back to second. Damon Woods, your pole sitter, getting dropped back to P3 as they charge around the opening lap of racing here, making their way down the Gulf Straight towards Adelaide hairpin. It's an ultra tight, very narrow 180-degree hairpin. Oh no! Oh no! And Damon Woods has been cleaned up by Jason Sieg. Under brakes down at the corner, and there's several cars getting caught up in that one as well. Another one spun around on the exit of the corner. But how's that? Your championship leader getting absolutely bowled over under brakes at the corner. So easy to lock the wheels. Watch the replay in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen here as they come out of a long curve at Estoril and charge down the Gulf Straight. Not quite a straight, but we'll call it a straight for tonight's purposes. And then as they approach the ratings...
Got him on a bit late and just locked them up. If you watch the green car on the inside, there he goes. He's locked the rears and he's gone, no control.
That's the dirty side of the racetrack as well. You can see there's quite a bit of dust and junk scattered outside of the racing line here. So track conditions loading in, maybe a little bit dirty for tonight's race, or at least for the sprint race. And that has caused a bit of chaos here. Damon Woods down in position 8. Now, it doesn't actually look physically, or look on the outside looking in, like the car has much damage. So he might have got very lucky in that case and is going to race away with an undamaged vehicle.
Someone else sideways there on the pit straight in the background I saw. Oh, somebody speared off there on the outside. That is Damien Cairns.
Damn. Damien Cairns going off the road then. He's going to rejoin back in.
Like we said, there's hardly anywhere that's dead straight on this circuit. Everywhere is a twist or a turn and a curve, and it makes them really handy. See on board with Damien here down on the right, and it looks like he's... Is this where it's going to happen? Oh, no. Ooh, gee, a big dive down the inside there.
That's a decent one. That's Scott Bartain jumping up the inside of Damien, taking advantage of the situation after Damien's off down at turn 3. As we go back to your race leader, Josh Stewart. Now, we just missed that as it came up on screen, Dave. There's a investigation being launched into Jason Sieg, who fired into the back of, or the side of Damon Woods. Now, pretty sure that'll be fairly cut and dry and an easy one to pin on. And there you can see under investigation, there you go. Car 1 on car 56 on lap 1. I expect it's probably going to go the way of Jason Sieg, maybe seeing a penalty throughout this sprint race as we follow Josh Stewart leading the way. Back to Tim Delisle. Delisle back to P4 after that start as well. So Tim back to where he started with Drew Collins in front of him. Drew's up 3 spots from the start here. He's had a great opening stint.
Damon Woods has actually been in the pits, Chris, and I think that's probably to repair some damage. So I think the car must have got some damage, and he's now down in 16th place. So he's 22 seconds off the lead, so he's gone in for a quick repair and straight out again. But that'll be a big challenge. So let's see how far he can get up through the field in this sprint race, because then he's only fighting for a starting position in the feature, and he's got a great lead, so it's not a big issue to him.
That's right. I'm sure right now the red mist has descended well and truly, and Damon's probably feeling the pressure, but in reality doesn't really need to push super hard to get back to where he wants to be. We did see a 20-second time penalty there for Jason Sieg for causing that incident on lap 1 as we follow Jacob Maybury, the TGD Esports entry. Teammates nowadays with Will Ryan as well. You can see Will right behind him in the 7 car. It's actually Marcus Kanitska now, so we're jumping around. Marcus Kanitska, Will Ryan, and Jacob Maybury, all SWM teammates, all racing together in the same part of the circuit as well. As there we go. There's Ryan up the inside, grabs a spot from his teammate as they come out of turn 15. Is it? No, not turn 15. Getting lost around this circuit, which is easy to do, Dave, because there's enough bloody corners of this place.
They all look alike.
They all look alike, and the track map that comes from Luke is a little bit different to mine as well. There we go, out of the chicane and onto the main straight and down the line. Will Ryan back up to P10 now. The SWM racing entry. The meet in the middle of the sandwich between his 2 teammates as Marcus Kanitska just a little bit further up the road, holding on to P9, and then a little bit further back to the rock star Shane Russell for Downforce Racing. DFR looking to knock on the door here and see if he can punch his way into the top 10. Ooh, hard on the brakes down at Adelaide. And we see a 5-second penalty for Rob Bowden as well, causing an incident on lap 1. Now, it's not very often you see an incident caused or in a penalty going the way of Rob Bowden, so something's gone well and truly awry there. as we approach one of the trickiest braking segments of the circuit, braking and turning at the same time. Now, here we go. Here we're looking at it.
Car 16, the red one is Rob Bowden. Let's see what the issue is here.
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah, a bit hard. Not much you can do about that. He's probably on full lock.
And probably still on the anchors at that point as he cleans up the 280 of Steve Jansen and turned Jansen around. That was the other car that caused all the chaos down at turn 5 on the opening lap then. As Drew Collins is seeing a rear vision mirror full of Tim Delisle right now. Tim would be feeling the push as well. The amount of understeer that would be created from the aero wash from Collins' car with these S5000 or the Formula Renault 3.5 within the iRacing platform would be incredible, especially through those medium to high speed corners.
Yeah, Drew's covering down the inside and Tim's trying to get around the outside, but he's losing too much distance to Collins on that second corner, the big sweeping right-hander. He's not staying in the toe, and it's just can't quite get close enough down into the hairpin, which is what it was like in the real world back in the watching F1 here. I remember they used to have that same problem through that turn 2. I think it's a big sweeping right. It's a real aero corner leading onto the main straight, so everybody would lose all the distance on the aero and then go down the straight and nobody could make a pass because it's the wrong sort of corner to lead onto a straight to make these cars sort of work. And an aero car, to be able to pass in an aero car, you need a non-aero corner leading onto a long straight.
Well and truly, it sounds like a recipe for a lot of frustration. It was to be right on board with Shane Russell. Flying around right now, right behind Jacob Mayberry.
If Luke stays on board here, around through the flip-flop here and down into turn 1 and 2, you'll see turn 2. So we're going across the start-finish line now. We're going to a very, very high speed. I expect it's probably flatten these cars through here, through the left, and then a little bit of a left, and then this is a big sweeping one. See he's got the push. The car's got run wide, the car in front gets away, and now we've lost all our speed and we can't make use of the toe in front.
Yeah, we'd have to utilise a lot of the old push to pass, which is available on these cars. Drivers get a set allocation of uses of DRS, which stalls out the rear wing, allowing for a lower amount of drag. Here we go, Damon Woods. No, he tags him.
Same thing.
Damon.
I think you'll find the same penalty for the same thing, same misdemeanor.
Yeah, that Rob Bowden caught up on Steve Jansen on the opening lap as well. Here he is, Woods, and there's Steve Jansen's in frame as well. The gap just disappears at that kind of corner, and he couldn't really get far enough alongside to make the move happen, but he couldn't hit the brakes any harder to pull out of the move either. So what do? You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and unfortunately, poor old Will Ryan gets turned around as a result, and Damon Woods now the offending driver down at turn 5.
It's not just that you run wide and under brakes, but the actual lock on these cars is not tremendous. That's a very, very tight corner, and to try to run down the inside, you can't actually make that tight a turn, so your arc runs into the guy on the outside. That's it.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. And you're sitting there and you're holding the brakes as hard as you can without locking up and spearing into the side of the poor guy next to you. And there's nothing more that you can really do at the helm of that race car. You're at that point, you're almost a passenger just watching the gap close up in front of you. It's such a difficult passing manoeuvre to try and make, as here we pick up on the 7 of Jacob Mayberry, just losing a spot here to Shane Russell. So what's happened for Mayberry to be going slowly down that long golf straight into turn 5? You can see Damon Woods just in the back of that shot as we look back from the back of the number 7 FWM entry. That chicane's a bit rough too. This part of the racetrack here, I really struggled with this part, especially trying to pull the car up under brakes as Shane Russell gets a bit of a swapper on and fires it into the grass. Good recovery from Shane. He managed to keep it on the track. 5 second, under investigation there from Damon Woods and Will Ryan on lap 6. So it's no surprise that's under investigation.
The only thing that might be in Damon's favour was it did look like there might have been a bit of net code in that, but we'll wait and see. If he doesn't get a penalty, it'll be because it's net code.
Well, yeah,
which is where the cars visually don't touch.
Yeah, let's see here. We're on board with Will Ryan, and Well, actually, they looked like it was a
You
pretty
need to go.
clean collision.
You need to go on the overhead, I think, on that one to be able to see that. But,
Yeah. We'll see again. This is
here you go. Here
over
you
the
go.
top.
Here you go.
And then, no, I don't think there's really a net code in there. Maybe a little bit, but
There's
he was
net code in that.
definitely had a.
There's loads of net code in that.
Yeah, he definitely still had the overlap, didn't he? He was well and truly on the wrong trajectory there. So it'd be interesting to see what comes of
watch
that.
Here. Watch here. The cars do not actually touch.
Yeah.
And then see that? So there's a pile of net code. You might get away with that because of the net code.
Maybe. We'll leave it to the FRG stewards.
Yep. They'll be debating the net code right now, I'm sure.
Oh, who have we got in the room tonight? Lockley Caplet, Rue Koistra, and Tyler. It's only Lachlan that gets the French name as well. Rue Koistra and Tyler joining him in the FRG stewards room, currently going over the course of that incident and determining how it should be dealt with, as those guys are doing an awesome job. They've been in there now. What are we? We're probably into the 20s of how many weeks in a row those guys have been slogging it out in the stewards room on a Tuesday night with all the seasons and series that have been running on FRG at the moment. We've been racing every Tuesday night for the last 20-something weeks, as we see there from FRG Race Control. No further action on Damon Woods causing that incident. So there you go. Your prediction correct, David.
Yep, because the cars didn't touch, and they will say, if there wasn't net code, would they have touched? I don't believe those two cars would have. So, yeah. So anyway.
It's an interesting one as we run it down. 3 minutes left to go in the sprint race. Damon Woods, we've been watching him for quite a bit as he picks his way back through the field after that incident on the opening lap that saw him have to go through pit lane to grab a repair as he gets up the inside of Marcus Knitska down at turn 5, where it all unraveled on the opening lap. Meanwhile, Josh Stewart has been leading this one out over Greg Olsen to a margin of 1.8 seconds. There's Josh on screen right now, the Downforce Racing purple entry. A good-looking race car as well from DFR this season.
Yeah, the car, unusual colour. You don't generally see a lot of purple race cars.
Oh, and there should be more of them, and this is really the case that explains the reason why. It looks fantastic in game as well. Right behind Greg Olsen, 2 seconds down now from Tim Delisle, currently in third. Drew Collins doing a great job holding on to P4 as we pick up with Greg Olsen there. The Positive Sim Racing entry, who was it Greg who was on the podium at the last round of the championship, round 8. It was Damon Woods who had a pretty good night. Tim Delisle, I think, took the win. That's about as much as I can remember from the last round of the championship. It was a few weeks ago.
So Josh Stewart's got about a 2.5 second gap, which is a comfortable lead. And there's whoa, on board with Shane Russell as he loses the rear there. Tim Delisle sort of 6 seconds back up the road, and then another second back to Collins. So there's not a lot of real battling. They're all sort of got their little gaps. And looking here at Luke Hayden, who's got Scott Bartain on his tail. Scott trying to come back from obviously had some misdemeanors out there somewhere, but fastest lap there to Damon Woods with a 28. I can't read that. 28.746 or something.
Yeah, it's 23.7. He's a tenth and a half quicker than what Josh Stewart has put down as your race leader. And I stand corrected. I said this was round 9. This is actually round 8 of the championship, as the last round they raced was Suzuka, which was the matching weekend following the Formula 1 Grand Prix season at the Suzuka circuit. Tim Delisle taking the win over Damon Woods and Greg Olsen in the feature race. It was Damon Woods who won the sprint over Tim Delisle, and then Julian Dunn in the sprint race, and Damon Woods was your fastest qualifier on that night. Several weeks ago, it was 3 weeks ago now that we raced back at Suzuka for round 7 of this series.
Yeah, so from here they've got Interlagos and Phillip Island to finish out the series.
Phillip Island will be in this other one. Be lots of fun with these cars with a good amount of downforce on board, I'm sure, as we follow Josh Stewart
on the last lap.
And he's just started his last lap as well, I believe, and he's making his way out of that very tough 180-degree curve at turn 9. Just a little kink through turns 10 and 11 and flying up towards the Imola chicane, turns 12, then 13 hard left. Tucks it back across the left-hand side into turn 14 at the hairpin. Down, maybe even first gear, flirting with the edge of first gear and then back on the power for the long, slightly bent straight. It's not a straight. The only straight is the main straight at this circuit before making it down through the very tight turn 15 and into the final chicane where it's so easy to drop the car and across the line to take the sprint race win. Josh Stewart takes out the 15-minute sprint tonight for round 8 of the Racecraft S5000 series. Tim Delisle across the line in second. Greg Olsen, the Positive Sim Racing teammates, 2 and 3 tonight in the sprint. Drew Collins across the line in P4. And a clean, quiet, tidy race for Bailey Evans across the line in P5.
Good to see.
And Rob Bowden as well coming across P6. Damon Woods recovers. And he's actually going to roll across the line there. He just snuck across the line and barely got to the finish for 7th over Anthony Marzoka in 8 and Marcus Konitska in 9. Steve Jansen, who was caught up on that opening incident, rounding out your top 10. So I wonder why Damon Woods slowed right at the line there, unless he was just that keen to maybe get out of the line.
I think he was over the line and he's just pulled up quite quickly.
And then just decided to jump out of the sim and have a look as we follow Josh Stewart for a quick replay here. What's Josh been up to? He's no, we tapped out of that, and the system might have a have a bit of a meltdown at the moment. That is your sprint race. As we immediately jump into the warm-up, I'm expecting at least one of our drivers to have jumped into the green room to have a chat to us as well. There's your results from the sprint race. Josh Stewart for Downforce Racing taking the win. 8.3 seconds clear from Tim Delisle in second and Greg Olsen in third. That is a massive margin as well. As we do have a Josh Stewart lining up in the green room. G'day, Josh. Congratulations taking the win in the sprint race tonight.
Hi guys, yeah, thanks. I think I got a little bit lucky. I got a good start though, so that always helps to stay out of trouble on lap 1. But a shame about Damon. I'm just sort of watching here. He got collected big time. So, but he had a good recovery. So, looking forward to the feature race and him right on my tail in the later stages, I think.
I'm sure we'd be foolish to bet against that from happening because of the pace that this guy's had for quite a while. But you did have some pretty good ultimate pace on board as well. What was you? Was a 23.9 your fastest lap from last what I saw before the results flashed across. So you got some good pace on board. What's your plan to try and make it happen in this feature race?
Yeah, look, I was taking it easy. This track is super hard, especially in this car. Like any little mistake, it costs you loads of time. So I was backing off a little bit there, but I saw Damon banged in something ridiculous at the end there. So, but at the same time, said that the delta you need to overtake is quite big as well. So, yeah, look, just want to keep it on the track. Clean race. I've had my fair share of dodgy feature races, so I really want to get a clean one under the belt today.
Well, best of luck, mate. We'll let you get to it and maybe sort it yourself out for a little bit of a rest or a quick test on track during the warm-up. Best of luck for the feature race.
Thanks heaps. See ya.
Well, Dave, I just actually did read as well that Damon did not get the penalty due to the net code, so you were bang on there with the call during the race.
Yep. That was, yeah, I've done a bit of race control with the boys, so I sort of know the way they think and what they expect. And most of the time I'm able to pick what the result's going to be. But as soon as I saw that net code involved, I thought it's pretty hard to penalise a guy when he didn't actually hit the guy, and I don't think he really would have. So, yeah, anyway. And that was just, it was just unfortunate, that opening lap accident. But, yeah, it's very true to the real thing. Half the F1 races here end up with an accident in that hairpin because you go belting down a big long straight on stone cold tyres and everybody's trying to brake late. And, you know, it happens.
That is exactly what happens.
Yep.
Well, we might take a moment. We'll be back very soon with the feature race, 50 minutes for round 8 of the Racecraft S5000 E-Series. you need in the sim racing industry, whether it be the latest technology, wheels, pedals, and aftermarket accessories, to full rigs, just parts, or everything from top to bottom, complete turnkey rigs even for custom applications, they are the people to call. I've been personally involved with racecraft simulations for quite some time, and I've seen some of the amazing stuff that he's turned out, from just being able to hook you up with little bits of extrusion to help out your rig build progress and help you sort out different mounting points that you may need, to complete stage 6 complete top to bottom sim rigs, the likes of which I've seen personally installed directly in Johnny's house, and what a rig that is. It was is enough to make anyone grown man's mouth water of what they want. As we catch a bit of onboard from Damien Cairns, getting fully out of the seat to say g'day as he does a little practice start, leaving the pit lane in the dying moments of the warm-up here. So I do urge you as well, if you do need anything sim racing related, chase up Racecraft Simulations, located here on the west coast in Perth, but he ships all over the country and can even do some pretty custom installations as well, using the best products available on the market. Here's your starting grid for the feature race. 50 minutes for the Racecraft S5000's round 8. Josh Stewart on the pole after winning the sprint from Tim Delisle. On the front row of the grid with him, Greg Olsen and Drew Collins, starting 3rd and 4th on the 2nd row of the grid. Bailey Evans starts alongside Rob Bowden on row 3, with Damon Woods and Anthony Marzoka starting from row 4. Marcus Kanitzka from Pace Syndicate Racing starts alongside Steve Jansen from row 5, with Luke Hyden and Scott Bartain starting from row 6. Cycle through real quick and we'll go to Shane Russell, the rockstar, out of number 13, with Will Ryan starting out of 14. Jason Sieg and Damien Cairns on the 8th row of the grid, with Jacob Mayberry seeing them all from position 17, and Lachlan Caplet starting out of position number 18, or at least in the pit lane with the FRG safety car, as the revs rise for 50 minutes of racing.
On the grid there, behind Damon Woods.
There was an absent spot on the grid for sure, and it was Marcus Kanitzka not making the start there for the grid. So Marcus is going to probably come out of the pit lane, unless he's decided to not take part in the race, because he's not showed up on any timings yet either. As we get a bit of a frantic start here, out of turn 3 onto the Golf Straight. Stewart leads the way in the DFR car from Delisle and Olsen as they make their way down towards the hairpin at Adelaide. Turn number 5, it's going to be a big pinch point. Everyone being very wary of it after seeing the sprint race start in the opening lap, and everyone, I think, everyone gets through clean, Dave.
Yeah, it does look like Mark Kanitzka has just failed to make the start. He's not dropped off the, he's not dropped out of the server, so he's not packet loss or connection loss. I'm at a loss as to where he is.
Yeah, he's not showing up on timing either, he's circulating or even getting a gap to the lead drivers. So it tells me something's amiss here as they all go firing through. What's happened here? Jacob Mayberry with trouble. After moving up a few spots at the start, he's going to drop back to pretty much where he was, as Drew Collins has dropped back to P7 as well, as they come through out of turn 14 down towards turn 15 at the very tight right-hander. Big lock up there for Bailey Evans as they make their way into the final chicane, turn 16 and 17. So easy to jump the curb. And it's going to lock out just like that. Just like that.
And there's avoidance and there's more effect. Yep.
Oh dear.
There's three of them
as well. Oh dear. Who was the third car?
Oh, Scott's got the new low downforce model there.
Yeah, more low downforce in the front end. He's going to have an ultralight steering wheel in his hands. What happened here? It was on board with Scott Bartain. There's Collins. Oh, there's SWM. Tag, you're it. Whack into the pit wall. So he was the innocent bystander out of all of that. Got tagged by a car trying to avoid the spinning Drew Collins. Here's a shot from outside the vehicle. Watch the SWM car across the track. Whack. That was more than a tag. That was a whack. Wow.
Yep.
And he goes firing into the pit wall, and unfortunately removes the front wing from the vehicle. That's an unfortunate opening lap there for those three. Drew Collins. Who else was it? Marcus Kanitzka is down a lap. It was Jacob Mayberry. And
Delisle running
Bartain.
very, very wide through the chicane there.
Yeah, very, very wide as well. as he sits back there in second from Greg Olsen, and Bailey Evans and Damon Woods. Rob Bowden up there to P6 as well, so Bowden's doing well, running exactly where he started and just holding a good position right now. He's in touch with those guys around him as they come on the main straight once again. I'm interested to see that Damon Woods hasn't really gone for the super aggressive start to this race. Has just played his cards right and tried to stay with his nose clean and maybe setting himself up for a run later in the race. We've got to remember it is a 50-minute race, Dave.
He's taking a shallow line through there behind the car in front, keeping his nose and keeping the front wing in clean air so that he keeps downforce in the car and he doesn't lose the distance. So he's changing his line to keep airflow on the front of the car, which is really cool. That's a clever bit of driving.
He's been pretty good at it so far. That's the reason why he's a championship leader, as he elevates himself up into P4 now over Bailey Evans, getting dropped down as they come through the treacherous turn 9, that long left-hander with a bit of an undulating exit as well, especially if you get the car over the top of that curving. Go back to Rob Bowden watching on in P6 as they approach Imola chicane. Hard right, hard left, and quickly back to the left-hand side on the brakes down into turn 14, and you're getting on the power very early in the corner as you try to straighten up and square off the exit to get the power down without turning the rear tyre. And through this not-so-straight section down to turn 15, again hard on the brakes down through the gears. Start to float the car across those curbings. See how much the car bounced on that first curb strike there.
Damon Woods fastest lap again.
124.7 for Damon Woods that time by. You see, he took 4/10 out of Greg Olsen in front of him on that lap alone. Olsen doing a 125.1. Now, we know the fast lap from the previous race, I think, was 123.7. Of course, these guys carrying a full fuel load, or probably close to the maximum they're allowed to carry for the long feature race before they're going to have to pit at some point during this feature. And this man, Josh Stewart, just doing everything he can out front at the moment, just ticking all the boxes and hoping that he can do everything right and still win the race.
Yeah, so it's this battle at the front, these four cars, and Damon's a little bit back off Olsen at the moment, but he will get there. But then there's quite a little gap, so he's got a fair old chase. And remember last week he actually pulled a blinder pit stop and caught some real time, mapped some real time over Kalen Chen in the F4 in the pit stop. So be interested to see if he can pull one of those blinding pit stops again tonight.
Well, you have to expect that he's probably going to. He's proven. Oh, no, Rob Bowden. Oh, he saved it.
Big save.
Big save. Well done to Rob Bowden, saving that car. That's the...
that was definitely a code brown moment.
That's well and truly exploiting the racecraft trick as well, to just hit the anchors as hard as he possibly can. Watch this as he comes through the chicane. Just gets it a little bit loose, and then immediately all four tyres locked up. That's the iRacing trick, to just lock the car up and try to stop it from spinning around.
That's exactly what you do in the real world.
Absolutely, you do. You
panic from a concrete wall.
You panic brake and lock all four tyres up before you find yourself buried in the scenery. He's lost a few spots out of that, but it's probably a better trade-off compared to being buried in the concrete right now.
Timberwell's hanging on to Josh Stewart quite well. He's only 9/10 of a second back. So if we had real DRS, he'd still be in the zone, wouldn't he?
He would as well, as of course each of these cars using a DRS, but they're free to use wherever they want to, isn't that correct?
That is correct, and they can use it as often as they like to, but they've only got 8 operations of it. So effectively it turns on, and it runs as long as you are flat on the throttle. As soon as you lift, you lose that extra power, so it turns itself off. If you lift or if you brake.
And the main activation point would be probably one of the hardest points of the racetrack to actually make the pass happen.
Right now.
Which would be, right here, exiting turn 3 at Estoril and charging up the Gulf Straight. Once you get around, out of the corner, you've really given up so much time from the aero rush understeer that you get from the car in front that you're not going to get that back even with DRS. down that straight.
And you can see Damon there. He's just not quite close enough to be able to even think about using, because he will use that that DRS or push to pass. It's a push to pass system in this, but it works the rear wing. It's a weird thing. But he will certainly use that to try and get through traffic, because it's pretty hard. I don't think you'd be able to pass those front guys without it.
No, I think he's probably going to utilise that in the back end after the pit stop. As we see what's going on here from Rob Bowden. We saw him just rejoining a moment ago, so he's come down towards Adelaide, locked the rears, and looped it.
They have a habit of, this car has quite a habit of locking the rear brakes. So, yeah, it's just a quirk of the car that seems to be, whoa, Will Ryan losing the rear without the brakes. So, yeah, they get quite light when you really stand. They get quite light in the rear, and it just locks the rear. Once you lock the rear, around it comes.
Absolutely, and we see the evidence of exactly that as he has a bit of trouble. We pick up on Tim Delisle into second right now, 1.6 seconds off of Josh Stewart. So Josh is managing to just creep away little by little, bit by bit. But what's happening is Olsen and Woods are actually closing up onto the back of Delisle here in seconds. This could get pretty exciting between these three in the fight for second, third, and fourth.
Olsen getting a little bit twitchy in the rear there on exit from that hairpin. There's a really fast little right-left flick. This flat in one of these again. And then you got to brake, and you're braking sort of into the corner, so it's a big, long, sweeping corner. But as we were saying earlier, a bit like Spoon Corner from Suzuka. And there's, see, everywhere it's left, it's right, it's up the hill, and you breathe for a second, then it goes right, then it goes left, and you've got to be over this curve, otherwise you run out of road on the right, and you've got to be back over to the left, because you've got to take right, and it is like that all the way around this circuit. It is left, right, weaving over brows. It is a very, very, very frenetic lap.
Very much is. There's not many opportunities to breathe and take a moment to regain your composure, or at least let your mind rest. So this will be mentally, and for those who are using full force feedback on their wheels, probably a little bit physically exhausting over the course of this race. Of 50 minutes in duration for the feature, and we found ourselves 10 minutes
He's tucking inside, trying to keep the air on the front of the car.
Yeah,
which he's done, and given himself a good exit. Is he close enough for the push to pass? I think he is, and I reckon I can't tell from here.
The wing's not down.
No, he hasn't used it.
So he's not. He got that close without using the wing. So that's a big tick for Damon Woods there. If he can manage that without having to use up his push to pass allocation, he'll have a little bit left in reserve. But I actually don't expect him to be challenging at this part of the race. I would expect him to hang out there, maybe pass on Olsen, maybe just sit there in third, just to stay somewhat in touch with Josh Stewart before we get to those pit stops. And I reckon the charge from Woods is probably going to come in that last 20 minutes.
A good battle here with Bowden and Hayden and Damien Cairns there behind them. Fighting as he just run a little bit wide. Bowden's run a little bit wide. They're all over each other like a rash.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's good racing here. Considering the size of the field, they're putting on a great battle as well as they go flying through the fast right-left chicane at Imola into turn 14 at Chateau d'Eau.
There we go. Thanks, Damien.
Damien just loves giving us away. He must have one earphone in our live stream, or at least have someone letting him know. He might just have the simple Discord notification come up whenever there's someone else in the team room, as he's using the team rooms on our FRG Discord server as we jump in there with the Racestars TV broadcast cameras. And we get to go on board. Oh, how close is Damien getting for this? Wants to have a crack here at Luke Hayden. Can't quite get alongside and make it happen. This is about the only part of the racetrack they get to have a breath down the long golf straight before they head into turn 5 at Adelaide. And then even then, you have to pick your brake marker absolutely perfectly to make the corner happen. Otherwise, you miss out. We're just getting repeated checkers now. It's like it's on Luke from Damien Cairns as he battles it out with Luke Hayden. They head down towards that left-hander at turn 9.
Tim Delisle's had a bit of a slow exit from the hairpin, and now they are all over the back of him. So second, third, and fourth, all nose to tail.
Yeah, he's had a bit of trouble there. He's lost, what is it, over a second to Josh Stewart. And now they are hot on his heels with 37 minutes to go. The teammate's going to battle it out here for second and third. Damon Woods licking his chops, wanting to pick up the pieces. And you wonder whether Damon will actually challenge these guys. He's a pretty smart racer. He knows how to manage the race around him. And I would be surprised if he actually goes for an all-out challenge on these guys as he looks to the outside down at turn 5, but immediately gets beaten off the corner. He's almost got just the slightest of overlap on the left rear of Olsen, which Greg knows, and almost compromises his run through that chicane at turns 7 and 8. But again, Woods just settles back in behind and settles down, letting the guys around him drive their race, while Josh Stewart tries his best to build some sort of safety margin that history has proven Damon Woods will just beat up on when it comes to the pit stop.
Ooh,
that was a bit rough.
Didn't go. It is a really, really difficult track to make a pass on. You know, you really only get a pass if the guy in front makes a mistake.
Something like that is well and truly easier said than done many times, but if we're talking about how difficult it is to pass on, how hard would it be for these guys right now fighting it out down through Estoril? As we watch that replay of Damien Cairns just going wheel to wheel with Luke Hyden for that 9th position. It's getting a little bit dicey out there for some of these guys, and we're nowhere near even hitting the halfway point. Here's Damon Woods in the tow again. He just fakes a little pull out to the right-hand side and then dives down the outside. Oh, there's a touch. There's a little bit of tag your it going on at the end of the hairpin there.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. When you're racing this close in this tight corner, it's really hard, and you've got to try and make a pass. So, yeah, that's pretty safe. It's a bit of a bump and run.
He's doing his best to try and make that move happen. And consider all things considered, Josh Stewart is a man who probably wants to make the most out of tonight. He's 4th in the championship coming into tonight with 3 rounds to go. And he finds himself, 42 points off of Greg Olsen, who sits 3rd in the championship just ahead of him. So Josh trying to close the points margin, and the best way to close up the gap is not to play the points game. It's just to go out and win races. He won the sprint race, and even said himself, you know, it was maybe because of the luck of some of those around him, but he was the man who stood atop in the sprint race and put himself on pole for the feature as he leads away with 34 minutes to go. Still a long way left in this one, Dave. We're going to see pit stops come sometime soon. I'm expecting them to come, what do you think? It would be after the
15 minutes
race. Yeah, another 15 or so. As there we go, Woods past Greg Olsen.
Through.
How did he do that at this point of the racetrack? He's ahead before they get to the hairpin.
Oh, we're about to find out.
Yeah, Luke always.
I think maybe he's run a little wide here or something on the exit. The Greg Olsen. Yes, he has. There he goes. Little wheel in the dirt, a little bit wide, and you know, Damon's there.
And straight away, Damon needs no extra invitation than that to grab the spot, and jumps up to 3rd now, setting his sights on
Tim himself over that one.
Yeah, he's done a good job to stay clear there and jump up. And now Tim Delisle, next driver up the road, next customer for Damon Woods, if you'd like. Is the
next man with a target on his back.
And the man who is 2nd in the championship coming into tonight, some 67 points off the back of Damon Woods, 574 to 507. My mental math isn't that great, but I think that's 67 between them as they come out of the final chicane. Out of 16 and 17 onto the main straightaway. Woods with 24-1.
Fastest lap again.
24-5. Fastest lap for Woods. And 0.4 of a second, the difference that he made up. That was with making the pass too. So Damon, well and truly on the charge here. Oh, and something's happened there with Luke Hyden down in P12. Catching the replay thanks to Luke at Race Stars TV, just going through Imola, and he's got on it through the hairpin. Oh, he's just actually carried too much speed into the corner and understeered his way off the racetrack. It's a bit rare for these cars. Usually I find, though, at least in the way I've driven them, usually found them to be very difficult to drive on power. I am a leadfoot, though, and very easy to spin around as we catch your race leader out of the Imola chicane into the top corner at turn 14, where he makes his long run out. See how he follows the curbing on the exit there, Dave, to try and maximise the road to build speed for that quick curvy straight, and then down to turn 15.
Yeah, I really like the way this place meanders sort of left and right, but it would be nice if it had a little bit more overtaking opportunity. But I suppose that's good. It creates pressure, doesn't it? You know, we got a pressure situation here with Damon Woods all over the back of Tim Delisle, and that pressure's on constantly. And Tim's there sitting there going, "Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake." You just can't afford to snatch a break or anything. I suppose that's really good. But when you've got really good drivers that don't make mistakes, it can get a bit frustrating.
Absolutely, but Mandy Coors in its own has gone through several iterations since it was first built. What was it, in 1960 was it first built? A long time.
Yeah, well, I can remember with the F1, that sort of last straight down to the second last corner and the little flip-flop onto the main straight, that had every year we went there, it was different. They tried it and tried so many things to get that to sort of as a corner work, and in the end what they've come up with is pretty good, but for a while there it was pretty awful.
Yeah, I mean, the original corner in the 1960s and 70s only had 5 corners, and then they started to expand on it more and more and build it further and further out to make more complex iterations. And you're right. I love the resource of racingcircuits.info, by the way, while I'm on this subject.
Yep.
It's a fantastic resource to see the evolution of the racing circuits. But what it's evolved into is probably a circuit that lends itself more to sedan or GT racing, creating passing opportunities for cars that don't require or don't rely as much on aerodynamics as a full out-and-out open-wheel car. Look at this, all on board with Tim Delisle and David Woods.
Again.
Forcing the issue out of Estoril.
That all started back at the chicane, and where Tim was just a little bit slow out of the chicane, and Damon got right up on him and managed to get round the outside of him through turn 1, and that became the inside, and he got shut down. But shutting him down, Tim just ran a little bit wide, and again on that exit, Damon just got such a run at the inside. So now the chase is on, and what is it? 4.7 seconds, so 4.8 seconds. So let's see what happens from here. Oh, look at that, the original circuit. There we go.
Yeah, Luke. He's using the old Wikipedia graphic that brings it to us here. But yeah, that's
like
the original. Spot. It is. That's the original Manny Coors. It was built in 1960. By this time, 1960, it was like this: 5 corners, short, sharp, and simple. As it started to evolve,
I can't even see where that fits on the current circuit.
No, I can tell you, it's pretty arse about. And the original straight is actually where it would be now. What am I looking at? I've got lost on that now. So the original straight is actually the straight that runs between 14 and 15 that is now a curve.
Yeah.
So that was the original start-finish straight of the very first circuit that started here at Circuit Mandy Coors.
Okay.
So it's evolved quite a lot since the 1960s, as has racing technology, and the cars have gotten a lot faster since those days, as we find ourselves running it down. But coming up to the halfway point very soon, and it won't be far away before we see those pit stops coming at us here for the feature race. Racecraft Simulations S5000 E-Series, brought to you by Motorsport Australia, Esports, and powered by or driven by FRG, the official 2023 E-Series of the S5000 in Australia. Proudly being run by Formula Racing Group, and look at the speed that Damon Woods has unlocked since he's got clear of these guys. Oh yes, here's Luke just trying to Trying to wrap it around.
Luke, trying
Wrong
to
way,
work
Luke.
it out.
Turn it. Counterclockwise, Luke. You got it wrong way. Counterclockwise. More there.
Like that.
There it is.
Like that.
That's the
There you
original
go.
circuit.
So turn one is still turn one it used to be turn two.
Oh, no. Well, turn one is what it is now. Yeah, it used to be turn two. That's right.
Yeah.
It's evolved.
And yeah, so that sort of run up, the whole last triangle with the little tip bit on it, and once they go past that sort of turn one, they did a U-turn and went back up. Whereas now that whole loop down to that hairpin is all new. It's interesting.
Like
I didn't realise it went back quite that far or that simple.
It's like a really bad game of Pictionary, communicating that with Luke from Racekraft TV, making it happen in the background. I just had flashbacks of Mr. Squiggle as well. You remember that, Dave?
Yes, Mr. Squiggle.
Oh, I love that show. That was great fun. As we pick up Josh Stewart, the Downforce Racing entry.
What was the girl's name?
What was the girl's name? Google is your friend, mate.
Miss something. Anyway.
Hang on, Google's your friend. Miss Gina was the original presenter in 1959. And then in my area, Rebecca was the assistant. Miss Jane. Ruth Boystra jumping in the background here. Miss Jane. So Ruth was definitely watching the version back in the 60s. Miss Pat, 1960 to 1975. Miss Sue, in 1975. And then it was Miss Jane again. Miss Jane, sorry, 1975 to 1986. I did through Miss Justice there. And then Roxanne from 86 to 89. And Rebecca back to 1989 to 1999. That's my area of watching Mr. Squiggle. What a great
I didn't
show.
realise it went that long. God.
I didn't either. That's a long time. No wonder my parents loved making me watch it, because they probably watched it when they grew up.
Yeah. And amazing. He never even had to sharpen his pencil in all those years.
The things you find when you're on live commentary on Race Stars TV. Back to Greg Olsen. Positive Sim Racing back to P4.
What's the gap now? 3.8. So Damon's managed to pull in a second so far. But pulling it in is one thing. Then you got to pass. But, I think the pit stop is going to be all telling tonight.
Yeah, Damon's made a habit out of doing that in the pit stop of late. Remember how good he was in the F4 at Laguna Seca. That was the first round of the championship way back when. Something I feel like I've aged considerably since that night as well. But it was a while ago for the F4 championship that Damon just aced them in the pit stop and made it happen to slide on through for the win. And I think we'll see... What was it now? 23-8. 23-8 to answer a 24-3 from Josh Stewart. So Damon Woods is closing half a second a lap at the moment, and we're still yet to see the pit stop.
He'll be having a ball at this. He's got a target, a carrot out there, and he's after it. Yeah,
well and truly. He'd be feeling a bit beast mode right now. Just being able to unlock the speed out of the car and close the gap, and to put half a second on your opponents is something that is pretty rare in the world of motorsport, and only comes along once in a while for most people. But every once in a while you get these young drivers that come through and they show such ability that you wonder why they haven't been able to be snapped up to a professional league yet. And I'm sure Damon Woods is one of those drivers. We've been watching his progress the last few months here. Look at that. 23-8. Luke even getting on board, pointing it out. 23-8 to a 24-2 for your race leader. Woods is on the charge.
Yeah, talking about young guys getting their opportunities in sim racing. I actually watched that Gran Turismo movie the other... Oh, we have trouble there with Will Ryan. He's got the low downforce model in effect. I watched that Gran Turismo movie the other night. I think it is possibly the worst movie I've seen in about 30 years. It is appalling.
The problem is, for racing tragics like you and I, and for a lot of people who are probably watching this, we notice all the inaccuracies.
Oh, it's just terrible.
The movie.
It's just terrible. Everything about it is just terrible.
Oh, there goes
Will Ryan. There we go. That's how you do it.
And he got the sticky wall too. It kind of just stopped him dead in his tracks.
Yep.
And he fires it back up and races back on. But I
I
stand
think
with
he might
you,
need a
Dave.
wheel alignment too.
Just a little bit, yeah, a bit left hand down there. I stand with you, Dave. It was inspiring. It was a cool watch, but man, it frustrated me.
It was so bad. It was everything I could do not to turn it off.
Oh dear, it's pretty rare when you find a racing movie that actually fires up racing tragics. I mean, Rush did that for me, but every other racing movie I've watched, it's been
only two racing movies to watch for me, and that is the original Le Mans with Steve McQueen.
Oh yes,
and John Frankenheimer's F1. They are just two fabulous movies. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Brad Pitt one they're doing at the moment. But that John Frankenheimer and Le Mans is my favourite.
the original Le Mans, absolutely incredible movie. Did you ever watch the movie Driven with Sylvester Stallone in it?
Yes.
That was on par with Gran Turismo for me. Frustrating. Very frustrating.
And the other one was Winning with, what's his name? Can't think of his name.
No,
Anyway.
I can't think of the movie you're talking about. Maybe I haven't seen it.
Winning.
Indianapolis as well, in IMAX. With the
big issue there for whoever that is.
Maybury and Sieg going at it.
Yeah, Sieg.
So Sieg just pulling over to the left-hand side of the racetrack and just saying, you know what, I want no part in this. I'm going to let you go on through, and we're gonna live to fight another day.
I think his problem was he had a slowdown there by running off the road, and he was trying to find a place he could safely lift off.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. As we pick up Damon Woods, he's brought the gap down to 2.2 now, Dave. 2.2.
It's because there's traffic, and now Josh Stewart's gone past that traffic, but Damon's still got to negotiate it. So that 2.2 will probably come out a little bit again, unless
I don't think there's any traffic actually.
there was.
I think we just haven't seen the lap times come across yet. We'll see the lap times. There's no traffic between them. That is the gap down to under 2 across the line. 25-0 for Josh Stewart, 24-0 for Damon Woods. He just took a second out of him. And this gap is going to come down to almost 0 on track before they see the pit stops.
Yep.
That is incredible. But I just want to take us back for a second. Indianapolis in IMAX with the Andretti family, incredible. I remember watching it when I think I was 9 years old when that came out. Absolutely incredible. I still like going back and watching it to the day.
Yeah. I can remember going to see John Frankenheimer's F1 with my father and sitting there holding my eyelids open because I was only little. It was fantastic.
Although my first exposure to the world of motorsports and racing was actually Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nicolas Cage version, with Angelina Jolie, Nicolas Cage in the pink Lamborghini. Need I see more? That was 8, and I was 9 years old then. That was a great movie. As Damon Woods rolls through for second, now 2.1. He's maybe given up a tiny little bit of a gap to Josh Stewart as he comes out of turn 14. Turn 15, is it? Turn 14. It makes his way down through the chicane and sets after your race leader. He's really good out of that chicane. You can see the gap coming down, and now it's a 124.2 that time by, 124.0 that time by, and a 124.1 from Josh Stewart. So Stewart's seen that Damon's catching him and thought, geez, I better get a move on, and gone and dropped his best lap of the race, a 24.1, but Damon is still catching. Even when your race leader puts down the best lap of the race. Oh, there was a little lock up there at turn 5 as we catch Rob Bowden rejoining the circuit. That's coming out of turns 9 and 10. What's happened here for Rob? That's the chicane, then hard on the brakes, just managing the car. Very front dependent through here, and then when you get on the throttle, very rear dependent.
Yep. Just broke traction at the rear and around it goes.
Around she goes. Good job from Rob to actually stop the car before it found the fence, as we see your leaders go flying past.
He's had to do that a couple of times tonight, poor old Rob, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a bit of a rough one considering the pace that he's had. He's actually really good in qualifying and the sprint, as your leaders get past a lap of Damien Cairns down towards turn
another
15.
one round. That's Jacob Mabry.
We did say we had a premonition that it was going to be a fair few instances of this happening tonight, and it's starting to come true, which is unfortunate.
Same corner, same place, same time, same lap.
Compare the pair. There you go, Jacob Maybury. The SWM Racing entry just looping it round out of turn 9. It is a really tough circuit out here. I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of sweat dropped in this 50-minute feature race because everyone just working ultra hard just to keep the cars on track, let alone do it in a quick manner that has you fighting for the race lead, Dave.
Yep. I'm seeing Luke chiming in the background there too. He's mentioning the movie Rush, which, yes, it was pretty good. Rush was pretty good. But
that was rude. And Luke dropping as if Cars isn't the best racing movie. Now, Cars was a pretty good movie, and that's crucial to getting the next generation into our sport and to bring in a new club. Because if they see it at 2 years old, then they'll have a chance of picking up racing. It's a fantastic movie for the youngsters. I actually enjoyed the Cars franchise, despite being 31 years old and watching kids' movies.
Yep.
Don't hold it against me, Dave.
I didn't.
1.5 seconds the gap now as Woods comes out of the final chicane. 16 minutes to go. They've yet to stop. I wonder how much further they can actually go on fuel, but no matter what, Damon Woods is monstering down that gap, and Josh Stewart is going to have to be perfect in the pit stop if he wants to hold on to this race lead.
Yes. And when will they go to the pit? What have we got left? 15 minutes to go. It's got to be in the next 5 somewhere, you would think, wouldn't it?
You would expect that much,
2 or 3 laps.
Sure. It's got to happen because they're limited to 50% fuel tank capacity, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, although this isn't a high consumption circuit because a lot of the time you're not on full throttle because you just can't be. So it's not a huge consumption circuit. So I would think that they'll probably get a fair way into the race on what they've got. And with no safety car, I do think they will have to stop.
Well, it's been surprising, actually, we've gone this long without seeing a safety car. But that said, it's slow speed, traction-dependent corners compared to high-speed, reaction-dependent corners, which rely on the driver a lot more to manipulate the car. And that's when you see a lot of incidents which would require a safety car intervention. That's certainly not what we have on our hands here tonight as we...
No, they continue on again. So I am noticing out there too, Marcus Konitska is in the race, 2 laps down, running around in 16th. So he must have got back on the track somewhere. I have no idea what his issue was, but yeah, he did join the event eventually. Yeah,
he just joined a little bit late, just fashionably late to the party tonight for the Racecraft S5000 E-Series.
We've only got one DNF so far, which is Will Ryan there, 8 laps down. So that's after that stonking slam into the wall, I think.
Yeah, that would be probably a pretty lengthy repair required for that one. And no use of luckily Capel into the safety, the FRG car yet. So we'll see whether we might not need him for the remainder of the evening as Josh Stewart leads out. Look at the hot lap from Woods, 23.7 now, as Josh drops his personal best lap of the race. So he's responding to the pace of Woods behind him. He's really pushing hard, trying to keep the gap, but it's still coming down. 123.9 to a 123.7 between Stewart and Woods. You can see the bottom right of your screen. There's the overlap of how the laps have gone.
Will they dive to the pits this lap?
Surely it would have to come soon. But no, yes it is. So there's Josh Stewart. Now Damon Woods has gone by. So Woods has gone for another lap. And this is going to make it exciting because it's not a race directly in pit lane, but it's a race
Damon
by the
just
number.
ran at 23.6 as well.
Oh my goodness.
Quicker again.
Quicker again for your new race leader, championship leader, Damon Woods, the eSports entry. To the top, but yet to take his pit stop for fuel.
Tim Delisle and Bailey Evans all in the pits. They've all dived in. So the only one who's gone through for the lap is Woods and Olsen.
Yeah. So these guys keeping enough in the tank to go that extra lap. Maybe they saved a little bit during this first stint.
If we stay with Woods here, we can maybe Luke could ride us into the pits with him on board.
Oh, I'm sure Luke can now.
There we go.
On board.
So we'll make the whole pit stop, see how he goes. Because last week we saw Kalen Chen overshoot his pit and have to reverse back, and that was the difference between winning and losing the race. So we'll see if these things are pretty hard to stop on the dime. So now we're going to take that run down to that last fast right-hander, and then we'll shoot, instead of taking the little right-left chicane, we'll shoot straight into the pits, and he'll go belting in here, and he'll stop early. Yep. And it's very smooth.
Yeah, he didn't
sit
really.
Here and we'll so how long are we going to sit still? And where is? So we've stopped.
You can
right
see
on
the
the
guys
marks.
behind. So there goes, just coming up past him now is Greg Olson, who was second. We're watching the 3 on your track graph on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We're watching for Josh Stewart, who's got past second. Where's Stewart? There he is.
Stewart.
Flying by, but I think Woods is going to get out of pit lane in front of him. He does the overcut. Clinical execution from Damon Woods.
That was really cool bit of camera work there from our superb director on board, swinging the camera around to see over our shoulder as to whether we were getting it out in front or not. That was fantastic.
Well, the most dangerous job in motorsport is to hold the onboard cameras.
And Josh Stewart there locking up on the way into the hairpin and firing it very wide, and it hung onto it. We have a safety car out there, Chris.
Say what? We have a safety car? No, we don't. Safety car in the pit lane.
Yeah. Well, it's telling me that we've got a safety car. It's been called.
So a safety car has been called. Oh, maybe for
that's
that.
why. There's a car upside down on the road.
Luke's gonna
who's
find
that
it.
sitting on the head?
Oh dear, Jacob Mayberry. What has happened to poor old Jacob Mayberry? That's why we have the safety
Sitting there
car.
wiggling and rocking.
What has happened here?
And it looks like he's done it all by himself. How the hell did you do that one?
So he's grabbed the curve.
What?
Oh dear.
What? Bang! Oh, look at that.
Oh, poor Jacob. And he's blinked
And
while
there
doing
he is.
it.
Oh, look, he's got the bouncer boy. There
Yeah.
we go.
Oh, Jacob finding himself upside
That's
down
funny.
in the cause of a safety car. That's unfortunate for Jacob's night. And we almost made it all the way. We almost got there to a clean night with the S5000s, thanks to Racecraft.
This is what you call open wheeler racing down under.
upside down through that planar earth that's been set there. So Jacob toes back to the pits, and Lachlan Capellet takes the he takes the FRG safety car out on circuit and bunches the field up. Now here would present an opportunity for someone like Josh Stewart, and if he could drag with him Tim Delisle and Greg Olson, to maybe gang up on Damon Woods and maybe just see if they can shuffle him back a few spots and make life a bit hard for the championship leader.
Yes, because the difference now is that Damon Woods won't get to call green, race control call green. So it's a much fairer start, but it also takes away the advantage that the leader used to have, which has made the restarts much more exciting. So
It certainly has, and it was a change that we made pretty early on across all the championships that we've had running recently with the F-Boards, the Australian Formula Ford E-Series, and of course the S5000s brought to you by Racecraft Simulations. Instead of allowing the lead driver to control the pace and go when they see fit, we have now made it back on the stewards and race control to call green, and the lead driver is not allowed to accelerate. No one is allowed to accelerate before that call. So that has definitely made it.
What we're seeing here is the guys all driving on the left-hand side of the road. On the right-hand side are all the cars that are a lap down are going to be given a lap back at what they call a lucky dog. So Hayden, Bartain, Cairns will go back onto the lead lap, and Konitska and Maybury will go one lap down instead of two.
Well, yeah, Konitska will sneak through. Maybury, I think, is he still in the pit lane? He must be. Although he is closing rapidly. So I think Jacob Maybury back on track. Will Ryan down 11 laps on this field.
And he's
I
out
don't
of the
think,
race.
yeah, he's going to be out of the race, and we'll be parked up in pit lane watching the last 7 minutes or so. So very shortly we're going to see a car flash across the back of this shot, or sometime soon coming up, as Mayberry tries to close his way up onto the field, although he seems to be losing time again. There he is, Jacob Mayberry, just making his way around the pack. He's going to get a lap back. Don't fire it into the side of the safety car, please, Jacob. As he gets away cleanly, he's going to try and do the quickest lap of his life to rejoin the back of the racing pack to go just one lap down.
We've got one more lap of the safety car and then it'll come in. So that's race control giving those lap cars a chance to get back on the end of the train again.
And realistically, Dave, that's only going to give us a 3 or a 4 minute sprint to the finish. So everyone's going to be good for fuel. Everyone's going to be probably a little bit heavier than they would have liked. But this could be a real opportunity for Josh Stewart, Tim Delisle, and Greg Olsen, even Bailey Evans, get that fiery guy up there, to try and pounce on Damon Woods and see if they can shuffle him back and maybe just gang up on him in just a little bit.
And they're going to have to be a little bit careful because they're probably going to lose a little bit of temperature out of the tyres here, running around behind Leclerc Caplet. And a little bit of temperature down, trying to get hard on it to make a challenge for the lead. That's when accidents happen and mistakes happen. So watch this restart. I think it could be some action.
Oh, it's going to build up to that point. I'm eagerly watching that main time clock tick on down as we just cross over 6 minutes left to go here. It's been a long journey to get to this point, although the action has been all about Damon Woods picking his way through the field after copping a big T-bone at the start of the sprint race. And that saw him cop a repair, drive back through the field a little bit, start deep in the field and drive back through the field a little bit more to the point where he leads at the crucial moment of the race. Your championship leader doing everything he can to keep the temp in the tyres. I've heard a lot of people say that weaving does about 1% of next to nothing in iRacing, but still everybody does it. Even I used to do it in the F3 eSeries.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a believer and it does nothing.
It certainly used to do something back in the Formula Ford days. You and I would attest to that. I used to weave like a madman.
No, I never did. I used to run the brakes more to keep the heat in the wheel. But,
you were that guy. You would be that guy, just driving in a straight line, riding the brakes.
And I was always particularly quick on cold tyres, so I didn't mind if they were a bit...
Yeah, see, I was the opposite. I always used to come on late in the race. Like, it would be like I'd be asleep for the first 8 laps of a 12-lap race, and in the last 4 I'd come to life and then see the checkered flag and be like, "Ah, it's over," and then deal with the wrath of my father, because I was 16, so I had to deal with that.
All right, Lachlan has belted off in the safety car to take it back to the pit lane, and then we will recommence racing.
If there's any of the French persuasion or French nationality watching tonight, we kind of apologise slightly for this evening's comments, but it's been great fun from Circuit Manicures for round 8 of the Racecraft Simulations S5000 series. Lachlan Capelaire pulls into pit lane.
Now, at any point, and I'm thinking Rue won't call it until after they're through the right-left flip-flop, the chicane.
Well, I'm thinking at the earliest they would call it after this corner at turn 14, but you might see...
Green.
They might...
It's called a green.
There it is. There it's green. So that's quickly after turn 15, and boom, Damon is right on it.
And there we go. What did I say?
Oh no, the Positive Sim Racing team has come a cropper on the final corner. Tim Delisle, championship
What did I
second
say?
right now. Has
Jansen's
caught...
up to P2.
Oh my goodness.
Zucker's P3.
My goodness, what happened here?
Using a bit of grass and up the inside.
Oh, it was on account of a lockup. Now, was that Josh Stewart locking up before they got to the restart? I'd love to see that again from Luke, the purple car. So we're watching Tim Delisle here. Josh Stewart has actually got it crossed up, and then he stood on the brakes to save it, and that has bunched up the cars behind him. And Steve Jansen who was way down the order. He's up now 8 spots to hold second right now.
And doing a
Good for
brilliant
Steve.
job. And Josh Stewart's gone back past Rob Bowden into third place. So, yeah, this is pretty wild here. But what a brilliant, brilliant piece of opportunism from Jansen. Great to see.
Jansen's best result in a feature race, I think, has been as high as 6th. And now he finds himself on track in P2 right now, ahead of Josh Stewart.
Hang on to it. Hang on to it, Steve. Hang on to it.
Oh my goodness, his blood would be absolutely pumping right now. Meanwhile, your
I'll
championship leader, Damon Woods, with 2 minutes to go, leads away through turn 1, down
Yeah,
towards
probably.
the quick fast, turn 2, and then through Estoril, that long turn
another one
3.
round.
Issue for Anthony Marzoka here. He's turned it around on the main straight.
Give the wall a whack as you sort of get it back around. So I think that may be bent now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Watch how that all unfolded out of turn 14, 15, and through the chicane. Oh, round
Same
she
thing
goes.
as we've seen so many times tonight.
Cold tyres, gassed it up on power. That's exactly how that unfolded right there for Anthony Marzoka, and gave the wall a hip and shoulder trying to turn the car around. Did a good job to not spin it the second time, but then struggled to get it back underway.
Where are we at here? Where's Jansen? He's only got a half a second lead. So yes, look, Josh Stewart's back on his tail. Come on, Steve, hang on to it.
They really were a lap and a half from home as well. Still 1 minute and 5 left to go in this race as Steve Jansen goes flying through the Imola chicane. Turns 12 and 13. Stewart closes right up onto his hammer. This is going to get real testy because Josh Stewart wants to make up as many points as he can to try and move up into the top 3 in the championship here at round 8. And after tonight will be 2 rounds left to run for the Racecraft S5000 series. White flag is out for Damon Woods across the line. Jansen is second.
Come on, Steve, hang on to it for 1 lap, mate.
There's Barney. Very technical waving of the white flag this evening for round 8 of the S5000 series. The Racecraft
Look how close it is.
He's right on his hammer as they come onto the Gold Straight.
Has someone got to push the pass left and one not? Cover down the inside there, Steve. Cover. Yes. Just keep him out there. Oh, no, that's a great move down the outside. But
it hasn't worked.
No, he's gone too wide. Oh,
he's got to drive off the corner.
He's got to drive it. He's got the drive off the corner. And that's a great piece of driving, but he's not going to give this away.
Whoa, Steve had to back out of it there because Josh Stewart is making that apex come hell or high water. It is a game of chicken.
I want to launch him.
And Jansen has to give up second and just maybe now think about trying to hold on for third because Rob Bowden...
hold on to third. He's got Rob Bowden all over his tail, yep.
Yeah, he really wants that crack at third here as Damon Woods, your championship leader, makes his way around the final few corners of the circuit. Here's Jansen coming out.
all over the back of him.
All coming out of turn 14. They're going to go through that little curve down towards turn 15. Here comes your winner, though,
Damon Woods. What a brilliant drive.
Brilliant effort tonight. A fantastic drive. Josh Stewart.
I think Jansen's going to hang on to it.
And Steve Jansen, can he do it? Yes, he can.
Has.
He will grab third tonight for the S5000 series, brought to you by Racecraft Simulations and driven by FRG.
Oh, we've got one more round. Just to finish the night where we started.
There's spinners behind as they all try and find the finish. Oh dear, Luke Hayden getting it all sorts of wrong. Still going to get to the finish, Luke.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Marzoka's going to get a free position. He won't be disappointed with that. He'll just pick up a freebie right at the end there. And Marzoka gets across the line. Luke Hayden did see the finish. So the finish line actually further back than where the start line is. So it's a very different run. Typical of a Formula 1 circuit where they finish right after the corner instead of allowing for drag races, because Formula 1 logic and FIA circuit logic is a bit of the old slow down lap antics going on. That's not what
I don't know what happened there, but that was Damon Woods getting dispatched.
Getting launched by Tim DeLisle. Saying congratulations for taking the win tonight, Damon.
I don't know what happened there.
Oh, maybe Damon was hitting the brakes just thinking of finishing off the night. Oh, so Tim's actually come through at a great rate of knots.
Whoa, that's
Yeah, Delisle probably not too happy with how the night went, considering where he was running.
He might see himself having a little holiday after that one.
Yeah, we take pretty seriously the old post-race antics. We like to encourage everyone to make a full cool-down lap and make their way back to the pit lane for the sake of the broadcast for good presentation. And Tim Delisle just getting a little bit rowdy on the cool-down lap. Clearly, maybe not too happy about the way his night has ended, considering he was running in the top 3 for a majority of that race. As we see, there's a good shot inside the engine bay and the rear.
See the rear shocks back there?
Yeah.
Push rods and the little rockers at the top of the push rods, which pretty cool the way they model everything. It really is.
It is fantastic, and the lengths they go to in iRacing to 3D scan every car they put in the service is the reason why iRacing is well regarded as the highest level of racing simulation that you can get at a consumer level anywhere in the world. For those reasons, there is your final feature race results. Damon Woods taking the win, eventually by 6.3 seconds. It looks like he dominated the race all race long, but the actual story was very, very different. Joshua Stewart across the line in second, who led for so long until those pit stops and then ultimately the safety car. And Steve Jansen, what a story for the evening, to grab third right at the end there from Rob Bowden, who mounted the recovery charge after the sprint race to P4, and the rock star Shane Russell rounding out your top 5. That's a pretty cool order there, Dave, for the top 5, how it shakes out here in round 8 of this series.
Yeah, well, with 5 laps to go, it didn't look anything like that at all, did it?
Not at all. I got a feel for Greg Olsen and Tim Delisle, both getting caught up on account of Josh Stewart, who ultimately didn't do anything wrong. He made the mistake, he got on the brakes, and that caused all sorts of carnage behind him at the restart. And Josh lives to fight another day. We're gonna see the replay of that one there, but here we are. We're actually seeing the replay here. Watch this. Josh Stewart gets out of shape off the chicane. He stands on the brakes, and then the positive sim racing entry guys both get through, and Bailey Evans actually bowls him over.
I've got to say that wasn't really good jumping on the brakes there. I know he's trying to save it, but really caused a lot of incident behind.
Think of the alternative though. He would have spun it and probably caused the same incident anyway. So
or he would have at least had his own incident, and maybe everybody else would have driven by. But you know,
quite
if buts and maybes.
Yeah, there's from Bailey Evans' perspective as he fires it into the back of the positive sim racing entry. And kudos to Bailey Evans. He drove a fantastically clean race, just kept his nose out of trouble until this unfortunate moment, which really he couldn't do anything about. I
wouldn't mind to go on board with Steve Jansen through that.
Yeah, back
the director's got a second there.
Seeing Steve Jansen.
Watch this. This will be like we're back in about 6th place, and the world will part. And I'll go, you beauty! Straight to the field.
Loose of the field as well. How good was that for Steve Jansen?
A bit like Mr. Piastri at the last Grand Prix first corner. Thank you, George.
Bowled them through. Thanks for coming, guys. Well, we've got everyone but Steve Jansen in the broadcast room, so we'll pull those guys in to have a chat. We'll start with our race winner tonight. Congratulations going to Damon Woods, taking out the feature race this evening.
Oh man, that was an absolute fight back from P7, and after getting taken out in the first race, that was not an easy night, but we were able to pull it off and get the W in the end.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, and it was, for once you were in the wrong place instead of the right place.
We were watching
on the opening lap and got nailed. So you've had a pretty fair run of luck, and it's going to happen occasionally, isn't it?
Yeah, it's racing. Like Jason messaged me after the race saying he was apologising and all that stuff. But to be honest, I already had my moment about getting angry over it. So I was just like, yeah, no worries, mate. It's, those kind of things happened.
You just got to go. So, the good thing is you don't have to pay the repair bill in iRacing.
Yeah, thank God. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a racing career after that one. But yeah, it was unfortunate what happened. But as soon as it happened, I was like, all right, just head down, get the car repaired, keep calm, don't do anything stupid. I got caught up in an incident at the hairpin, but to be honest, I think I did nothing wrong in that situation. And looking at the steward's seat, it was
I spoke to race control. Yeah.
So that was all good. But yeah, I just had to be calm, and even that last race as well. I knew the PSR boys were going to be trying to help each other out, so I just had to wait for them to make a mistake, and yeah, both of them ended up doing so, and then was able to make
pretty hard to make a pass around here because it's got that big aero corner leading onto the main straight, onto the fast straight, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's why I had to wait for him to make a mistake. There was no way I was going to be able to get past him. I made a mistake on the gear ratio as well, so I was down on top speed towards the end of the straight, which made it difficult to pass. But yeah, just being patient paid off in the end.
Great drive, great result.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to who ultimately ends up in second place then, Josh Stewart. Joshy, it wasn't quite your night to be after leading for so long in that race, but man, oh man, what a frantic finish there.
Yeah. I'm happy that I'm here, but I'm really disappointed, obviously, at the end of the race there. A small mistake cost Tim and Greg behind me some good positions, so apologies to those guys. Just lit the tires up. I don't know. That chicane is difficult at the best of times, not to mention on cold tires on a restart. So, yeah, just happy to get through it. Apologies to those guys, and congrats to Damon. His pace was ridiculous. My mistake, I think, was pitting the lap earlier. I sort of mind blanked. I had another lap of fuel, but sort of panicked. And as he said, it would have been difficult to overtake on track, but yeah, he got it done in the pit stop.
It was a great drive by you though. You kept responding to the pace and doing your utmost best to try and keep your nose in front. But the strength of that man behind you is just something to behold. Congratulations, at least on coming through runner-up, especially with those final few laps that you had to really get to work.
Yeah, I'm just watching the replay now. There was a couple of very hairy moments, so I'm glad I made it through. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we don't have Steve Jansen with us in the broadcast room. He didn't make his way to the green room, but Dave, I think you and I both want to congratulate Steve Jansen for an incredible drive tonight and just being at the right place at the right time, being absolutely crucial.
Advantage of it.
As we see the replay.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in the right place at the right time, but it's also to have your wits about you to take advantage of it. And he can see the smoke here, and he can see that hole down the middle, and he's gone, oh, they're having an accident. Just got round the back of him, and I've missed the one on the left, and the world is parted in the middle, and then he had to hold off two of the fastest guys out there for the last couple of laps. That was pretty... I bet he was sweating when he finished.
I bet, and I'm sure he's immediately off to go celebrate and tell the family what he just achieved there. So congratulations from us to you, Steve Jansen, although you didn't join us. That was a pretty close one for Rob Bowden. Although you didn't join us in the green room tonight, congratulations going to Steve. We'll turn it back around the other way then. We'll go to Josh. Who do you have to thank tonight?
I think the Canalforce Racing crew, they've been awesome all season. Big thanks to Tim and Greg also. They help out a lot on setup and practice and all the rest of it. And again, apologies to those guys for ruining their race. And also shout out the sponsor, Shred Life. Yeah, so thanks very much.
And to your winner, Damon Woods. Congratulations once again. Who do you have to thank?
As always, yeah, the boys at eSports, VRS for their support as well, Recaro Seats, JBL, Tailored Rig, Arima Sportswear, SX Group, and the FRG boys for always putting on a fantastic event. We wouldn't be able to do it with those boys adminning, and always commentary crew for putting on a beautiful broadcast.
Oh, you're too kind to us, mate. You're too kind, and Luke as well. For
Luke always, he puts in the hard work.
He's the man in the background as well. We'll go soak it up, gents. Congratulations on a great night of sim racing again. Dave Roberts, it's been a big night.
Yeah.
Round 8.
We'll see you all at Road Atlanta next week for Formula Fords.
Yeah, that's going to be...
What a great place for Formula Ford racing. I don't know whether anybody watched the Petit Le Mans on the weekend, but from Road Atlanta with the GDP cars, that was I watched a bit of it. It was absolutely sensational racing, and I can't wait to see the Formula Fords there next week.
It's going to be incredible. Same time, same place, same channel. Tuesday nights from 6:30 Western Time, or what is it, 9:30? No, sorry, 5:30 Western Time. 8:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
7:30 Brisbane time.
7:30 Brisbane time for you, right here on Race Stars TV. Formula Racing Group, FRG Esports, next week, the Australian Formula Ford E-Series. The official E-Series of the Australian Formula Ford Championship heads to round 7 at Road Atlanta. What a bumpy, tricky little circuit that is going to be for a full field of Formula Fords. And good news for anyone who wants to get involved to go racing next week, they sure can, because it's an open grid. You just have to qualify in the top 80 to make the night of racing. For more information, go to FRG or Formula Racing Group on Facebook. You can find the links to the Discord server and get involved from there on out. And of course, for more information on Racecraft Simulations, title sponsor as well, go to www.racecraft.net, and I'm sure you'll find lots of lovely stuff that can make you drool down to the floor at your feet. Dave, it's been a pleasure tonight. Can't wait to see you next week.
Yep, same to you, Chris. We'll see you then.